Roll call. I believe so.
Good morning. James Williams.
Here.
Terry Pavlik.
Present.
Christopher Cameron.
Here.
William Mendoza.
Here.
Rafa Caliendo.
Here.
Lori Vinnicourt.
Here.
Allison Thomas.
Here.
Angela Jones-Brown. Here. Susan Kennedy.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's stand for invocation.
Lord, we ask your guidance today as we consider matters that will affect the safety and welfare of many people in our county. Help us to listen with open minds to matters that are important before us and to act on those matters that will benefit those who reside in our area. Keep our minds open and alert, our hearts compassionate, and our comments charitable. Amen.
The Zoning Commission of Palm Beach County has convened at 9 a.m. in the Vista Center, Ken Rogers Hearing Room, 2300 North Jog Road, West Palm Beach, Florida, to consider proposed applications and staff recommendations pursuant to the Palm Beach County Unified Land Development Code. The Commission takes final action regarding Class B conditional uses, subdivision variances, and Type 2 variances, and issues advisory recommendations on other requests. The Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County will conduct a public hearing at 301 North Olive Avenue, West Palm Beach, Florida, in the Jane M. Thompson Memorial Chambers, 6th floor, on applications not subject to Zoning Commission final action. Zoning hearings are quasi-judicial in nature and must be conducted to afford all parties due process. The Board of County Commissioners has adopted procedures for conduct of quasi-judicial hearings to govern the conduct of such proceedings. The procedures include the following. Any communication with commissioners which occurs outside the public hearing must be fully disclosed at the hearing. Applicants and persons attending the hearing may question commissioners regarding their disclosures. Such questions shall be limited solely to the disclosures made at the hearing or the written communications made a part of the record at the hearing. Any person representing a group or organization must provide documentation that the person representing the group has the actual authority to do so regarding the matter before the Commission. Any person who wishes to speak at the hearing will be sworn in and may be subject to cross-examination. The applicant and county staff may cross-examine witnesses. Any other persons attending the hearing may submit cross-examination questions, including follow-up questions to the chair, who will conduct the examination. The scope of cross-examination is limited to the facts alleged by witnesses in relation to the application. Public comment is encouraged, and all relevant information should be presented to the Commission in order that a fair and appropriate decision can be made. Do we have proof of publication?
Motion
Yes,
to
we do.
have the publication.
Seconded.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Swearing in.
All those wishing to testify or speak on today's items, please rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Approval of the minutes of the past meeting.
Motion to approve the
Second.
minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's the August 7th.
Yes. Okay, amendments to the agenda.
Okay, we have a few. We have a few amendments to the agenda. On the regular agenda, item number 6, SVZVZCA 2025-00428, Neighborly Living Westgate, modifying the staff report and agenda to clarify what staff's recommendation is and our recommended motion. Staff is recommending approval of the official zoning map amendment, the subdivision variance, and the Class A conditional use, subject to conditions that are described in Exhibit C1 through C3. We are recommending denial of the Type 2 variance. So the staff report recommendation and the agenda is clarifying those motions. The last motion, B, being to adopt a resolution denying 6B is our recommended motion. To amend the subdivision conditions in Exhibit C3, the compliance to refer to the Zoning Commission rather than the Board of County Commissioners. Amending the Type 2 variance, if it's approved, Exhibit C4 has the conditions in there, so the compliance condition also needs to reference the Zoning Commission. Clarifying the Type 2 variance chart. The required parking is a total of 53, 48 for residential, and 5. They're reducing it down to 50 parking spaces total for a variance of 3 spaces. Item 7, ABN ZVPDD CA 2025-406 Westgate Village PUD. We have a correction in the recommendation for C1 through C3. An amendment to the request to clarify that the conditional use and the Type 2 variance are related to 16.05 acres, not the entire 42-acre site. There is a correction in the map that we've added in the attachments. And we're modifying the conditions of approval for Exhibit C1. We put on the add delete that it was modifying the Class A conditional use. The C1 conditions are specific to the rezoning for the planned development district. All petitions that's listed on the add delete is specifically for Exhibit C3, which is for the variance. Engineering conditions 4 and 5 are specifically related to Exhibit C1 for the rezoning. There's an addition of the utilities condition, number 2. That's a new condition. And then you'll see the map. And that is it.
Motion to adopt the agenda with the attachments.
Any request to pull anything from consent?
No.
Okay. We have a motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this point, any conflicts or recusals to discuss? None, okay. Let's start with the consent agenda items then.
Yes, so just for the record, item number 1, DOA 2024-254 Pike Road. It's administratively postponed, no motion. So disclosures is the next thing before you do a vote on the consent agenda.
Disclosures.
What are we?
Disclosures for the consent items.
Okay, yes.
2,
Let's
3,
start
and 4.
on my left. Any disclosures on consent items?
No.
No. Item 2, I spoke to Lauren McClellan, and on item 4, I spoke to Lisa Rivas.
No disclosures.
No disclosures.
None.
None.
No.
So do we
As
have,
there was no request to pull any items from consent, the next would be a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, we'll move on to the regular agenda items then.
Yes, the first item on our regular, number 5, is a privately proposed revision to the ULDC. This is Phase 2, related to our townhouse regulations, and we can turn it over to the applicant to present that proposed change.
Do we need to have disclosures for each item on this, or no?
Not on you.
No, okay.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Scott Backman on behalf of the applicant. And I'll put it to the board. I was here about 3 or 4 months ago on initiation. I gave a fairly detailed presentation on what's being proposed. So really not much has changed, trying to create some more flexibility within the existing townhouse regulations within the county. If the board would like a presentation, I'm happy to run through it again. If not, happy to move on. Give you some time in your day back.
Move on.
Any
And
questions?
I have a question. Scott, you can answer this,
Sure.
or staff. With the wording of 2D on page E2, you have that you use property owners association having jurisdiction over the parking area. Why that? Why not community association? Because then that, it appears to limit it to property owners association. What if these townhomes are condominiums or co-ops? So it would seem to me that it would be, and it's also capitalized as property owners association. So it really is, it delineates only for, this would apply only to property owners associations and not condominiums or
Sure,
co-ops.
and I'll flip to the language just so
Just
we can all
explain
see
why.
what we're talking about here. And I think this is something that, language that we were working on collectively with staff, really about parking tracks. I think the idea is any common areas. Lisa, it looks like you want to jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's language that existed through 2014, and it was returning the parking track back to the code, and we just went with verbatim what it had said previously.
If it's condominium, it would be multifamily. So this is townhouses where there's fee simple ownership. So.
And property owners association is kind of a more generic term, whether it's an HOA or condo association. And again, as Lisa said, this is language that was in the prior version of the code, but I think the intent is what you're suggesting, Lauren.
Yeah, actually, community association is the more generic term.
Okay.
As compared to property owners association, homeowners association, or condominium or co-op. So I'm just throwing that out there. If you want to change it, if you want to keep it that way, it could just be an issue later on. But
Sure.
that's all.
Any other questions?
None.
Do we have a motion?
No, we have 2 comments from public, but did we want?
Oh, okay.
we do.
So
Yeah, we have
we
2.
do have comments from
We-
public.
we
Let's
do.
go then.
Yep. So first, I'll call you up. Please come to the podium, state your name and address. John Eubanks Jr.
Morning, for the record, John Eubanks, 605 North Olive Avenue in West Palm Beach. We didn't get to see the presentation last time, and obviously I guess anybody else who hasn't seen it won't see it today. But part and parcel of when you read through this, there's a number of red flags, and I'm surprised we got this far in many ways. You're doing a massive thing. You're changing the ULDC. That's a big issue. And the red flags I see is, first of all, you've introduced it by developers. The public hates it when developers take over what they think should have been the government and what the Board of County Commissioners should do. The questions become questions of due process. The questions become, how come we didn't know? I even emailed and said, who's behind it? And they didn't tell me. I had to read through all the documents to find out who was actually the applicant. That's one of the red flags that people won't light. If I were a politician, I wouldn't do it. But the next aspect of it is, look, you're talking about reducing setbacks. Again, everybody in Florida doesn't like developers because the theory is all they're trying to do is squish everything in as much as they can in as small of places we can. And we know that we have this happening over in Nash Trail where we're trying to get a big set of townhouses, and if you keep squeezing those setbacks, then you're going to get more, but then the people who are like in an agricultural area, their way of lifestyle is gone because you're now cramming in these townhouses. The other aspect is I think you're reintroducing the parking areas, the parking tracks, and those have kind of come and gone. Those were popular, like you say, 11 years ago when they got rid of them. They're popular, but nothing says environmentally sensitive like taking down trees, pulling out landscaping, and putting up a big parking lot. The other issue that I saw that I would be pretty much scared about is that the fact that you're using smaller drainage easements and pipes. We're in Florida. We have big hurricanes. When it rains that much, you're actually making it worse. You're going to have more flooding. You're going to have more damage to the homes because they're going to be closer to each other, and there's going to be less drainage. So you're going to have to go back and say, well, whose idea was it to make everything smaller? Lastly, I want to touch base because everything in this seems to be driven somehow by we have this enormous need for townhouses, but that's not true. After the last quarter, the reports have come out that show that townhouse closings of sales are down 5.4%. People who can actually pay in cash is down 10.9%. Original list prices are down 1.6%. And what you end up having is median days just to get to a contract went from 46 to 61. And now we're talking about an inventory that went from 6.5 months to 7.6, we have a time period of 7.1 months to 9.7 months. The trend is down on townhouses. People aren't, excited about them. So we're sitting here changing the ULDC, your biggest, guidance on what you can and can't do, for something that's going down in popularity. So from that stand, we would object to it, and we'd say it really needs to go back to the board and be thought through more detail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They should have told us. We should have-
Can we ask you a question? Come back up to the mic. Are you representing anyone?
Yes, I am registered to represent. I am here for, Walter Ross is one of the people. I have a few people I'm representing. I've been representing on other issues, but he's on this one. And he is at 5407 Nash Trail. So you
All
can
right.
look it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another comment card. Robert Palahunik. Please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Robert Palahunik, 5536 52nd Drive, South Lake Worth, Florida. I'm here today to offer proof for the record in furtherance of a legal challenge should this board vote in favor of this proposal. Current ULDC setbacks requirements exist for public safety, health, and welfare. Reducing setbacks without corresponding infrastructure upgrades violates adequate public facilities requirements. County has duty under Florida Statutes 163 to ensure development doesn't exceed infrastructure. PPRs lack comprehensive traffic impact analysis, increased density, no independent engineering review, missing community capability analysis that's in conflict with the comprehensive plan. Setback reductions enable density increases that may exceed future land use. It violates infrastructure element, conflicts with conservation element. Specific code violations, Article 3, 4, 7 under the ULDC, Florida State Statutes 163, 380. The county should request full traffic impact study because it's not for one place, it's for the entire county. Infrastructure capacity analysis, community capability review, independent engineering review. The PPR is legally insufficient. This is exactly what developers want in making a more systematic, weakened Palm Beach County development standards, as the PPR is a textbook example of their strategy. Reduce setbacks, clarify separation distances means reduce them, reintroduce parking tracks means more parking. They need to focus on the traffic impact studies and management. I think the applicant had, I think I read in there, it says the ULDC hasn't been updated in a while. Neither has the U.S. Constitution. Should we go back and change that too? It's a ridiculous statement. It's unbelievable how the developers have come in here and tried to railroad this through to get more density, minimize their gross profit for no benefit to the community. I am with counsel, and I'm here to protect my rights. This systematically dismantling development standards while maximizing their ability to avoid on-site, including workforce housing. I mean, they're going at every angle to try to get greater density. And it's amazing how no one has showed up, how this has flown under the radar as a PPR. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for him.
We have one question from a commissioner.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Where do you live in relationship to the
Where do I
actual
live?
project? to
I
the
live
project?
5536 52nd Drive, South Lantana in Haverhill.
But you don't live near the project.
I can't hear you.
You don't live near the project?
This is
Not
for
a
all of.
specific project.
Well, no, I know it's not the project, but I mean,
No,
where,
I don't even know
what they're
where the
talking
project
about
is,
changes.
but
for-
this is a systematic change to the ULDC. It's
No, I
not
understand
project
that.
specific.
Okay, all right, never mind.
If I may,
You may.
this is a privately proposed revision to the ULDC. The applicant asked for one change, to reduce the rear setback from 25 feet to 15 feet. It was staff-driven and drafted the rest of the changes in this packet. And as you could see on this slide, townhouses have the largest rear setback of any of the other uses. And so for everyone's benefit, there's residential uses, there's commercial uses, there's industrial uses in the Unified Land Development Code. The key residential use types are shown on this slide with single family, zero lot line, multifamily, congregate living, and townhouse. And what we discovered while working on this project is that in 1992 and since, with that version of the ULDC, the code became much stricter for townhomes compared to single family and zero lot line and multifamily. So what's been happening since 1992 or 5 or so is when a property owner comes in and they want to develop a townhome style community, because the regulations are so strict, they develop them as multifamily and they do a condominium. That is still the case right now. Anyone today could do a multifamily style and do a condominium. This change is proposed to allow more fee simple lots. I don't know anything about condo law and fee simple, but I know that that is the way that folks are wanting to do townhomes. They want their patio in the back under their control, their little bit of front yard or whatever. So I just wanted to clarify, and if you can go to the other graphic, Scott, if you're... Yeah, here's a graphic that shows the setbacks for the different types of uses, the rear and the front and the side. And because of our code right now, you're ending up with townhome fee simple owners that are ending up owning, like, for example, the buffers in the rear and on the side and the land between two townhome blocks, two townhome units that could otherwise be in common area. We also require a 25-foot front setback with a garage rather than a parking track. That has resulted in almost no townhomes being built without garages, and not every price point needs a garage. This is just adding flexibility. Other changes that have occurred with the changes to townhomes in '92, we created a tremendous amount of nonconformities, and the elimination of parking tracks created neighborhoods such as this one being nonconforming. So allowing parking tracks to come back in is alleviating some of the nonconformities that we created ourselves. The concern that the speakers have is specifically on a project called Natch Trail that will be before you next month. It was remanded back by the Board of County Commissioners to this commission. You've seen it twice. You'll see it a third time. This time when you see it, you'll be able to act and make a recommendation on that. Not act, well, make a recommendation on that item. If there is any concern, it is related to the residential single-family zoning district, because that is the project on Nass Trail, not the RM, which is the residential medium-density multifamily zoning district. So I just wanted to clarify for the record, this is much more of the words in the packet are staff-driven, and they're not the applicant. The applicant was seeking only that rear setback, so I just wanted to clarify that for the record. It meets any requirement of the comprehensive plan, the ULDC, and state statutes by my testimony at this moment for pursuing changes to property development regulations. The applicant threw out a lot of words, not the applicant, rather the speaker, but I'm telling you absolutely right now, as my testimony as the zoning director of the Palm Beach County Zoning Division, this change is suitable and appropriate. If there are individual projects such as Nash Trail that do want to use the reduced setbacks or don't, the speakers here today have the ability to recommend a setback that sticks with the, because that particular project came back in, and with the current regs, they could recommend that it's single family and they should keep a 25-foot rear setback. That project is not proposing parking tracks. That's all I have to say on this point. This is something that we do and something that staff supports.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question of staff. Just this numbers, lines 21 through 25. regarding the engineering aspect of the stormwater management. You've had engineering input on that?
It's just on it. Yes, all of it with land development. Yes, we have provided input.
Thank you.
No further questions. Can we have a motion?
A motion to approve staff recommendations of item 5A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
And as the
Did
zoning commission.
one motion took care of that, right?
Yes.
A and B.
No, Ms. Vinacore separated them out into two, so she's going to.
Yes, the zoning commission,
Okay.
serving as the Land Development Regulation Commission pursuant to 163.3194 Florida statute, approves staff recommendation of item 5B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 6.
Yes, item 6, SVZVZ CA 2025-00428, Neighborly Living, Westgate. The requests before the board include a subdivision variance, a type 2 variance, official zoning map amendment, and a Class A conditional use. We will turn it over to the applicant for a presentation, then followed by staff.
First, do we have any disclosures?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I spoke with Bradley Miller.
Same.
No disclosures.
None.
I spoke with Bradley Miller.
No disclosures.
I spoke with Bradley Miller.
I also spoke with Bradley Miller.
I received an email.
All right, proceed.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Bradley Miller of Urban Design Studio. And for those of you who I did not talk to, unfortunately, I didn't have a phone number to reach out to you. So, or I would have. This is, to me, I've been doing this for 35 years in the county, and this is a new, exciting project in the Westgate area that we feel is an initiator. It's a spark plug. In those 35 years, Westgate has tried to get going, and it's, although Elize and Denise behind me here from the Westgate CRA area might differ, it just hasn't gotten going, and we're hoping that this one will. My client is Neighborly Living Westgate, and the proposal is a project that includes some workforce type units. There's some newness to this, so bear with me here on the presentation. I thought it would be helpful. You may or may not be aware of the Westgate area, but it's essentially from the north of the airport, south of Okeechobee Boulevard, between Military and a little bit east of Congress. And our project here is pretty much in the middle of that. Those of you familiar with Burns Steakhouse, we're about 3 blocks away from Burns Steakhouse. It's if you haven't been there, go. And part of the Westgate and really any CRA is to take areas, get them redeveloped, provide housing stock. This is coming out of the comprehensive plan. And their vision, the Westgate vision, really initiated these where to provide new residential areas, mixed use, different income levels, and addressing the special needs of population. You can see the lightly colored text there. It's expanding the housing stock. There's a number of things. Aesthetics and curb appeal. One thing that the CRA just actually did here within the last year is redo all of Westgate Avenue, which is their main thoroughfare, and it's great. They've got on-street parking, which I'll touch on here in a moment. It's all nice and clean, curb, gutter, great project, and this one will just facilitate that. More on the comp plan coming out of it, there's a density bonus pool. The Board of County Commissioners implemented a policy that they put right into the comprehensive plan that to give initiative for developments like this of a density pool to be able to increase density making it more incentivized for projects like this to come along, and we're utilizing that density pool. You may have seen in the staff report, there's reference a couple times, this is the first time that a project has used that maximum density pool bonus. So another nuance to the project. And then that transferred into the ULDC as you come down the hierarchy of codes and regulations. That again, it's the purpose of the Westgate overlay. There's a whole section within the code. It's a different type of development. It's called a form-based code where you're designing differently than what we just heard about setbacks. For example, we don't have a setback along Westgate Avenue. We actually have a build-to line, which means that they want the buildings up on the road, things like that. So it's a different style. It's much more of an urbanized type of regulation. And to do that, it's to work on these blighted areas. This is the site. It's just on the south side of Westgate Avenue to the west of Tallahassee Drive, and it's been a problem for the CRA and for code enforcement for years. When my client came in and bought it, he took it from this beautiful, lovely, awful condition of dirt all over the place into a nice, clean site. So he's already made improvement there. He's been working closely with the CRA even long before I got involved in the project. So this is a near and dear to his heart, and feels very emphatic about the project. The project itself, we're on about 2/3 of an acre of land. It's a small parcel. We're in a CH8 commercial high land use area. The existing zoning is CN. We're proposing a rezoning to the property to bring it into compliance with the comprehensive plan. Again, we're in this Westgate CRA overlay area, proposing 38 multifamily apartments and 1,585 square feet of commercial space. So it's mixed use, which again is something that Westgate code and regulations are promoting and trying to get along Westgate Avenue. And with that, we're supporting the project with 50 parking spaces. There's 4 parts of our application. The first part is the rezoning, the zoning map amendment, which again is just bringing it into compliance with the comp plan. There's a subdivision variance. This property actually stretches between Westgate Avenue on the north and Nokomis Avenue on the south. Nokomis is an older road, and so the subdivision variance just recognizes the existing condition of that roadway. We have a type 2 variance for the number of parking spaces. We have 50. The requirement is 53, so I'll touch on that. We're asking for a reduction of 3 parking spaces. And then the Class A conditional use is really the process of implementing this density bonus program, kind of encompasses the whole project. This is the rezoning. It's pretty simple. You can see on the left-hand side is a comprehensive plan designation. The whole area is commercial designated. But then on the right-hand side is the zoning situation. So we're taking this area and actually changing it to CG zoning to be consistent with that comprehensive plan, as well as the other parcels in the neighborhood. And to go back on that, we do have staff support on the rezoning. The subdivision variance, again, staff is supporting that request. It's we have 20 feet of pavement. Today's code on a wider actual roadway is actually 24 feet. So it's really just the reduction. It's recognizing the existing condition. The pavement that's out there is 20 feet. So we're going from that 24 feet down to 20 feet of pavement and no sidewalk. From a density standpoint, the conditional use, this is really the big component of it. And I mentioned the density bonus pool. What's in the yellow box on the left-hand side in that chart is for this sub-area of the Westgate overlay, we're allowed to request, and this is this incentive that the county commission put into the code, a density bonus of 50 units per acre. So when you put all that together to get to our 38 units, we're getting some of those units by the straight density of 8 units per acre of what it is, and then we're adding the 50 unit per acre onto that. So the calculation on the right-hand side shows how we get to that number of the 38 units. And then the process is that because of that request, this would be, with your recommendation of approval, then we would go forward to the county commission for final approval of the conditional use. The project itself, which you've probably been wanting to see, this is our site plan, and to go through it, Westgate regulations require that if you do have access to two different roadways, which we do, both on the north and the south, that you don't have a vehicular access point on Westgate Avenue. So our driveway comes in from Nokomis and then circulates. It actually goes underneath the back portion of the building, and then we have 45 parking spaces there. The rendering shows how the building is elevated, and so those spaces are covered under the building, and the access point is coming off of Nokomis. Pedestrian-wise, we're coming off of Westgate Avenue. There's a lobby that's there in the middle, the pink arrow. That would be predominantly for the residents and any guests of the residents. There's a couple of elevators. We have 1,585 square feet of some commercial space. Just a quick story on that. We had to present this to the Westgate CRA board, and at that meeting there was a lady who got up and spoke, not necessarily in opposition, but in caution. She was a resident of Westgate, and she told a story about a young man who was working at a store there in Westgate, and she asked him one day, she said, "Do you live in Westgate?" And he said, "No, I live in Boynton Beach, and I drive up here every day." That's the type of person that we're looking for, is that person that's close to the work environment in that Westgate area, and they can use the public transportation and walking to work, if you would. Again, we've got a total of 50 parking spaces. There's 45 of them that are actually on the site, and then we're allowed to count the 5 on-street parking spaces that are in front, and I'll go through that in a little more detail later. The purple area is actually the residential component that's starting on a second level, and then it goes up another 2 levels from there. And we have 26 micro units, which is something relatively new as well, 10 studio units, and 2 one-bedroom units. And then on the roof deck, we have some recreational space for the residents. This is giving you a rendering, a conceptual rendering of the front of the building, where the store spaces are along the street. You got the plaza and the entry for the residential area. I particularly like the where it says stairs. We're taking into the safety factor. That's actually a screen material, so the stairs are screened from view, but you still have air and sound that can travel in there, which will be, I consider, a safety factor for the residents. Green wall. And then this is from the side. It gives you another perspective of how the parking is configured under the building and the streetscape along Westgate Avenue. And then the rear, which you saw previously, again, with the driveway and the parking underneath. From a breakdown of the units here, again, it's 38 units. 26 of those are these micro units. They're 12 by 20, 240 square feet. And we have had the reaction through the review period here of, wow, those are small. And they are. I'm not denying that. Another story at the Westgate board meeting was I went back in time about 35 years. I think it was one of my first presentations ever. and I was presenting some residential housing product that's called zero lot line. It was new. People were reluctant to it. Now it's, I don't know the actual facts, but I would guess it's a big percentage of what, especially new development these days. So it's a time that things are changing. These micro units are popping up throughout the country. There's quite a few as you're coming up the coast here in Florida that are coming into place. At the bottom of the screen is really the important part, I think, to me, is that who are we targeting from a tenant standpoint? You know, this isn't targeted towards a family type of community. This is more the college graduate that's coming out of school. They've got a job, whether it's downtown, whether it's on Okeechobee Boulevard, somewhere close. They need a place to plug in and lie down at night is basically what they're seeking. The service workforce, Okeechobee Boulevard is full of job opportunities and commerce along that strip that we feel would be beneficial. Seniors, veterans that are part of that demographic as well that we're targeting. And there is a vast amount. Reading back through the staff report again last night, I picked up on that there's 24 bus stop locations within a half mile of this property, with the closest one being about 600 feet away. So you can basically get anywhere in the county just by walking along. I stole this quote from my client. I don't know if he stole it from somebody else, but I thought this was telling. It relates to the non-family type of target tenant that we're looking for, but non-families are a forgotten cohort in housing policy, yet they account for 35% of households and 44% of renters in Palm Beach County. They have a median income of $52,000, which half of the county's AMI. And based on family income versus non-family. The way the average median income in workforce housing is calculated is right now in the county is on a family income. They don't have anything that's just if you're a single occupant type of occupant. So out of those, $50,000 or less in renting, 2/3 of them spend more than 50% of their income on rent. So those are the people that we're targeting. And those are the people that we've all been hearing about it that need the opportunity of housing. And we believe that this project is doing that. To break down the building, this is the ground level. And Westgate is to the left side of the screen. The commercial space is in red. The plaza area, the access to the blue is there's 2 elevators in there, and then the mechanical space with stairs and whatnot. And then as you go up into the residential, this is breaking down the units. The one in green is the micro unit size. Then we have studio units that are 366 square feet. And then we have some 1-bedroom units that are 538 square feet. All units, again, another requirement of the Westgate regulations is that every unit has a balcony. And you'll be able to see that soon. And then there's some common laundry facilities. Second floor, same thing. Third floor, we have 5 units up there of micro units. And then this is the rooftop recreational area. It's an open passive area, which there's some renderings I'm going to show here in a minute. And then like an indoor lounge space that can be used by the residents. This is a quick, it's 1 minute, don't panic, a video of the project, which it helps you understand it. It walks you through the building, coming in through the elevator space. This is one of the micro units with a full bathroom. It's got a kitchen. The living area, the way, I don't know if any of you get on Facebook and don't type in Murphy bed, because you get every imaginable concept of Murphy bed on your feed. And then this is the the studio unit, which is a little larger. Again, all of them have a balcony space and the common kind of living, sleeping area with the Murphy bed, common laundry area, and then this is the rooftop amenity, which I think is pretty nice. That wasn't so bad, was it? That actually worked first time I used a video. The parking variance. This is the one staff is not supporting us here, but it's critical for us. In order to be able to provide these rents, we need to get the 38 units. It really comes down to that. And as we put this together, we've designed this with the 45 spaces on site. Code does allow us to count the 5 parking spaces on street that are right in front of our building, and with that we get 50 spaces. With the calculation from the Westgate overlay, we are required 53 spaces, so we're short by 3. Where we look at it is that it comes down to guests, and I think I mentioned this when I did speak with Dr. Binacor, that said this isn't a place where we're expecting Thanksgiving dinner to be held. It's more of a occupant type, of a small occupant type. So we feel it's really a reduction to the number of guest spaces. And with that, there's a bunch of other opportunities. But before we get that, we did have a parking study prepared, submitted as part of your 114-page staff report. God bless you guys. That from the Institute of Traffic Engineers, and they have actually looked at projects like this in more urbanized areas, smaller unit types, and with their research, they have determined that if you plug in these calculations, that only 41 parking spaces are required. So there's some technical backing with that. But with that, there are existing across the street, we can't count them, but they're there. There's 8 parking spaces already along Westgate Avenue. There's also the opportunity to continue those spaces both to the east and west of our project. And as Westgate Avenue builds out, I have no doubt that that's what's going to happen. So as we're all accustomed to, if we drive downtown, sometimes you have to park on the street and it might be a block away. And it's just part of the newness of this type of project, going from a suburban to much more of an urban environment. So we believe that the parking is actually there in function and in practicality, but from a being able to count it as part of the regulations, we're short by those 3. In addition to that, we're offering up different ways to control that. We're going to have on-site manager who will be there to control it. I list a few items here of controlling it by having everybody having a sticker or something in their car so we know it's theirs. The on-site manager will be able to go through the parking lot and see that it is. We're restricting the micro units to 1 car only. In reality, it's probably going to be every unit as 1 car only. Again, I talked about the 24 bus stop locations. There's bus stops that lead you everywhere. We're walking distance to Okeechobee Boulevard, so we're actually expecting some tenants to not have a car at all. For those people that don't have a car, management will offer them a free bus pass. And then we have bike racks. In addition to those items, our client is working with the Westgate CRA directly on coming up with, I think the name was like a friendly neighborhood agreement where Westgate can actually be involved in the management. There's going to be reporting requirements. A draft of that just got started, and we're working through those, but it's something that we want to do to be able to manage and have a successful project out there as well. So with that, we feel like we've there is enough parking for this with all the variables that I've mentioned. I think we're just short these 3 spaces, and we ask for your support of that as well. Speaking of support, we do have support of Westgate staff who is here. We have support of the Westgate board, a unanimous support from the Westgate board that we went to them. We had to go to them first before we could even submit to the county. Delray Housing Group is supporting us, and actually they are going to be part of a co-developer with my client in doing this. They're very involved in this market of workforce and affordable housing, and we're happy that they're involved. They're also going to be involved in the management. So that's great. Lord's Place has actually just given us a recent letter of support as well. Out of the 4 components, staff is supporting the rezoning, the conditional use. There was some clarification with the add delete here today, and the subdivision variance. They're not supporting the type 2 variance for the parking. But as I brought up there, I think we have the physical ability of providing those spaces. It's just how it gets counted, and to me it relates back to the guest situation. So with that, we're asking your support of and recommendation to the board of the rezoning and the conditional use, and ask for your approval here today for the subdivision variance and the type 2 variance for the parking. I'm here, and my client is here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff?
Matthew Boyd will make a presentation.
Good morning, Matthew Boyd, Zoning Division. So as the applicant stated, this is the Neighborly Living Westgate project. It's located off of Westgate Ave, located between Westgate Ave and Nokomis, roughly 150 feet west of Tallahassee Drive. It's located in multifamily high density, RH zoning district, as well as the neighborhood commercial sub area within the Westgate overlay. It's a 6.66 acre site. The 4 requests in front of you are 2 for your recommendation of approval, which is a rezoning from neighborhood commercial and residential high to general commercial, as well as the Class A conditional use to approve 38 multifamily residential units. The 2 that are for your adoption is one for the adoption to approve the subdivision variance, and a denial for the type 2 variance for the 53 parking spaces to reduce them to 50. As mentioned, this is rezoning from RH and CN to CG. And going over the site briefly, this is a vacant site in the Westgate CRA. The applicant is proposing a mix of micro units and studio apartments with commercial development on the first floor, with residential on the 2nd to 4th floor. The site again incorporates commercial on the first floor with a little over 1,500 square feet of commercial retail all along Westgate Ave, and 50 parking spaces with vehicular access solely on Nokomis Ave. As mentioned, we are recommending denial of the Type 2 variance. These are the list of the standards that an applicant is required to adhere to when requesting a Type 2 variance, and we after our review deemed that they do not meet any of them. At this time, there has been no contact from the public, and staff, as mentioned, is recommending approval of the two the rezoning as well as the Class A conditional use, and adoption of the resolution for the subdivision variance, and adoption of the resolution to deny the Type 2 variance. And that is all from the zone division. If
Thank
there's
you.
any more.
Thank you. We have 2 cards from,
Yep, from the public. So I will call you up. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. So it's Elize Mikel.
Good morning, commissioners and staff. My name is Elize Michel. I am the director for the Westgate CRA. I am here in support of the project, especially in support of the parking reduction, the Type 2 variance. As Brad mentioned earlier, we just finished a project on Westgate Avenue where we added parallel parking. Now all these parallel parkings are not being used. In the future maybe, but right now there is enough parking on Westgate Avenue to accommodate this project. They are using some of the parking in front of them as part of the parking requirement, but across the street from them there are the parking that are available that the guests can use. The CRA is also processing an amendment to reduce parking in the area. It's not been approved yet, but we understand that there is a need for parking reduction to make sure that those projects work in the area. So I'm here to support the parking reduction, the Type 2 variance. Our board heard the project. They've included a letter in the package for you showing that they are supporting it. We love the architecture. We think there is a need for micro units in the county. It's a unique project, probably the first in unincorporated Palm Beach County. We would like to see how that's going to look like in the Westgate area. So I'm asking you to support and recommend this project to the BCC. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Denise Pennell.
Hi, good morning, commissioners. Excuse me. Denise Pennell, Director of Planning and Development for the Westgate CRA. We're located at 1280 Old Congress Avenue, Suite 215. Elize really said everything I was going to say, but the CRA does generally support the project requests and the allocation of density to the from the density bonus program. The architecture, the site design, access, building orientation, all of those meet the intent of the neighborhood commercial sub-area of the WCRAO. I would argue one point that Mr. Miller made. Westgate is changing and development is on the rise all over the district, including cottage homes in the interiors, new projects on Congress Avenue, and look for some other ones coming along on Westgate Avenue. I think with this one, we would have 6 new projects on Westgate Avenue or within the corridor. The project is the second mixed-use project to utilize the on-street parking provided by the Westgate Avenue Streetscape project and the code that supports on-street parking, allowing it to count toward that parking ratio. The project is supported by the CRA's Community Redevelopment Plan, which envisions more dense mixed-use development and a variety of multifamily housing types on Westgate Avenue. As Elise did mention, we are working with the zoning director on a code revision that would allow some waiver reduction for parking in cases where density makes it challenging to meet those site requirements. We hope that you support the project, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I have a question for the applicant.
Yes, sir.
Hi. If we stood firm on the 53 parking spaces, how would you have to change the project to accommodate that?
I had thought about that question. And the obvious answer is it's a one space per unit scenario, so it would reduce it by 3 units. As I mentioned here, this is a very tight from a pro forma standpoint. This is very tight to keep the prices down as much possible for rental rates. So each little increment of that it means rental prices need to balance out to that.
So what I understand is that in order to comply with the 53 parking spaces, that's based on a ratio of.
That's right.
You'd have to reduce the number of units. I'm assuming there's no space within the area to create 3 additional parking spaces.
Well, and there are within the site. No, we've maximized the site itself, but as my presentation and the Westgate staff indicated, there's parking spaces that will be provided along Westgate Avenue that we can't count it as part of our calculation because of the regulations, but it's there. There's 8 spaces immediately across the street from us that we can't count those, but they're there today.
But I mean on the property site itself. Is there any way to reconfigure anything to
when I first started, we were actually, and when we took it to the Westgate board, we were short 7 spaces. We reconfigured. It's very tightly designed to using angled spaces, different angles of spaces to maximize that parking on site. So 45, which includes 2 handicap parking spaces. I've looked at that over and over and over again, and pride myself on those small designs of utilizing the efficiently.
My last question as to that is, you're in your calculation, you're looking at reduction in the guest spaces, but these are not assigned parking spaces. So whoever gets there gets there. You could have 15 guests show up, and that would affect the residents' ability to park there.
Yeah, right. There's 45 spaces on the property itself for 38 units. So we have one space for every residential unit, and then some on site. The commercial space requires 5, whether those are on the street or whether those are the surplus that's out of the 7 that are on site. So that's how I came up to the guest spaces so we're, really from a parking standpoint, we want our residents to have a space, although we really do believe some won't have a car. But if every unit has a space and we're willing to limit those to a 1 car per unit situation, that's covered on site. And those will be controlled. It'll be a first come, first serve where you park on site, but you have to have that sticker on your car to be, so not just anybody in the neighborhood can use this parking lot scenario. And that'll be monitored and controlled. And then, so the commercial space again is we have 5 spaces right in front. We feel like anybody coming to that space as a patron will probably use those spaces. It's right at their front door. And employee-wise, I mean, these are small spaces. They're 800 square footish each bay. So it's not like it's going to be a lot of employees either. And all of those are baked into the parking calculations for that commercial space. So again, we feel we have the space for the residents, we have the space for the commercial space, and then it comes down to, do we really need 10 guest spaces, or are 7 enough? Along with whatever's left on the street east and west of us.
Quick question
Yes.
for staff. You say basically it doesn't meet the requirements, the standards for the variance for 3 parking spaces. I read them, but I'm still trying to understand. When you do the urban infill and the parking, could you explain to me a little more why you feel that 3 parking space variance, I read the standards, 3 parking space variance basically would not be I'm gonna call it a hardship, given the urban infill, the smaller lots, and what you've done with Westgate, where you got parking all up and along Westgate. I'm just trying to figure out how staff looks at it from a standpoint of infill residential, which is going to start happening more and more. This question.
From the staff perspective, I will recommend denial of almost all variances, and the applicant can reduce by 3 units. Variances are a unique hardship. The applicant is asking for additional density, over 50 units an acre. He can do less and make it work. So that's just the way I operate. There are reduced parking regs for affordable housing projects. There's reduced parking regs for Westgate. We're actually working with Westgate right now to add even additional reduced parking, but the code right now is written the way it is for parking, and he could reduce by 3 units. The fact that this is urban infill is not going to sway me. That's not one of the standards that we're looking at.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I don't know how staff feels about it, but why couldn't you put some compact spaces in, which would help maybe need only 1 unit or 2 units?
There's no provision in code for compact
I
spaces.
know there isn't, but when you're coming to us looking for us to give you a variance. I'm looking for the leasing.
So City of West Palm Beach does compact spaces,
Yeah.
and we don't have that. I mean, if that's an urban strategy that the board would like to be explored down the road, we could theoretically look at that, time willing and with BCC support, but we don't have that like West Palm does.
The only reason I say that is because the type of people they're going after for 200 or 300 square foot spaces are going to be driving S-Class Mercedes in my place. You know, they're probably going to have very small compact cars. Then he wouldn't need so many spaces. Maybe he can get a change around to do something like that. I mean, can we explore allowing it, even though the county normally doesn't?
We have a pending ULDC change that you'll see next month or the month after with Westgate. We could talk to Westgate about that, but for this project, we don't have them. That's an interesting concept because I don't know that I would have to ask Elise and Denise how many, F-150s are in Westgate with this type of housing. Maybe they don't need such large vehicles, but that's
well, and
something
they
we
can
could
also put a
explore.
restriction. A lot of communities put a restriction about not having trucks or so on parked, so that could be put in as part of the restriction as well.
Interesting.
I have a question.
Any other questions?
No, not
A
a
comment?
question, but a comment. Yeah, I think the project is commendable, and I'm going to vote to approve to adopt the A, but on B, on the parking issue, I think the applicant has already got using 5 public parking spaces as counting towards their project. I don't think it's equitable to the other projects just because they haven't come in yet next to them or across the street. I don't think it's equitable to take up their parking spaces for this project. Their applicant's asking for increased density. They can reduce that in order to fit their project onto the property. That's my comment.
Any other?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Lisa, you had mentioned that there was some reductions in parking for workforce housing.
Affordable housing, we just adopted, if you're doing an affordable housing density bonus, last month, 7th at Haverhill was doing a parking reduction for affordable housing. And then we're working with Westgate, specifically for Westgate on additional parking reductions. We had asked Bradley and Denise to look at if those new parking reductions we were proposing with Westgate would help in this situation. I think the answer was no, right?
It reduces it down. We would still need to come back for a variance for what we're asking for today. So just one more thing on the variance and the reduction of units. That from a financial standpoint and a rental standpoint, it's a 8% reduction of project and revenue that would be, it's all incorporated into keeping those rental rates into those categories for the workforce. It's a huge component for us to keep the 38 units.
Can I add on to that? So our variance standards are very clear. They're in the staff report, and one of them is that it's not self-created. He's asking for additional density. But I want to say that variance is also very clear in the code that it cannot be based on financial hardship. So what he just said can't be taken into account on granting or denying a variance. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I see across the street, you say there's 8 spaces, but that's an empty lots, so it hasn't been built yet. Correct?
That's true.
So
yes.
that person, those people may want to use that. The ULDC changes, you don't see that helping what they are suggesting? It doesn't help your project? Does staff think it does? It might?
It takes it from short of 3 units down to short by or one, not 3 units. Actually, it does equate to 3 units. Goes from 3 to 1. We would be short 1.
Yeah, as far as urban infill in Westgate, this is a challenge that we have in the direction that the county is moving with higher densities. I mean, 50 units an acre is a lot. Our code is not set up for that, but variances aren't the way to go, which is why we created the parking waiver for affordable housing and why we're doing specific regs for Westgate, because this is a challenge that we'll keep seeing. But the technique and the tool in the toolbox for variances doesn't mesh with density bonuses. And if we're going to have urban development, we will ultimately need urban parking standards.
It looks like in the next few months you'll get some relief there. It looks like to me.
It is something that we've considered. The timing of text amendments is not as black and white of moving forward as sometimes happens. I think did initiation actually happen? Okay. So that's the first part. Staff has to draft it.
It's moving along. It's moving along.
It's one thing, I've been here a long time, and I feel like I've been a guinea pig on a lot of things. Here's another one. It's a unique project. We agree, but we feel it's a great project. We've got Westgate here, who's in full support. Something like this, we're hoping actually ignites that. And I apologize to Denise and Elize for the comment of Westgate. They are more active than I realize, and that's great. We just want to be able to see this project come out of the ground, and I mean, architecturally, I love that type of architecture.
Okay, thank you. The bike racks, will they be some e-bike racks, electric for the electric bikes, people, and other electric modes of transportation that the people that are living in the 240 square foot, they would probably have that. And remember, I suggested to at least in the 528 square foot, the 2 that you have to put an oven in, because with 1 bedroom you might have a couple there.
You did, and we can take a look at that. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
One more question.
One last question. If I was the applicant, I would sit back and wait a month or 2. I mean, you've taken it to this degree. I think Lisa's talking to Westgate and some of the other things that are coming down the pike. You won't need as much of there may be some cures to help you facilitate you. But to depend on parking and vacant lots, parking in front of vacant lot stuff, I'm not in support of that.
Would you like a motion?
Okay, it looks like we need four
Can I-
separate
Yes.
motions.
Can I have a
Separate-
moment
Go ahead.
to confirm with my client to see if we want to hold on to that before you?
Yeah, a
Take a vote.
postponement would be a better scenario. Good precedent to send here. It's not but 200 and some square foot units. That'll get thrown in our face over and over.
Thank you for the time.
Yes.
I think what we want to do, there's a caveat here, I think we do want to continue to move forward. What we may do is we will, not even may, we will, we'll continue working with staff on the text amendments, and then depending on what happens here today, we still want you to approve the variance, and hopefully you will. If not, then we would continue forward with the board with the reduced number of units, see what the amendment does, and if that becomes helpful for us to recover some of those, then we would come back through the process to add those back in.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I motion to adopt a resolution approving item 6A.
Second.
If I
Motion
may,
is-
since staff is recommending denial, I just wanted to be clear that if the motion maker could confirm that you made a finding that all of the standards have been met based on the evidence. Just because staff is recommending denial, get something on the record.
Only on B.
She's only on A.
She's only on 6A.
Oh.
She's only on 6A.
Apologize.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Moving on.
And adopt a resolution denying item 6B with what our attorney has indicated.
So,
Second to denial.
since you're denying, there's two ways to deny. You can do with or without prejudice. And with prejudice means that an application for a development order for all of the same land shall not be considered for a period of 1 year if it's not materially different. So if you didn't do it with prejudice, without prejudice, they'd be able to come back sooner.
If you did it without prejudice, they can come back.
Yeah.
So I would do it without prejudice if
Second.
that's good with the
Second,
person who seconds it. Great.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second.
Same way.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oppose.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving to,
Recommend approval of item 6C.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 6D.
And to recommend approval of item 6D.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate your time this morning.
Okay, we're ready for item 7,
Yes.
Westgate Village MUPD.
Item 7 is ABN ZV PDD CA 2025-00406, which is Westgate Village MUPD. We have several requests before the board, which include a development order abandonment. Actually, no, there's no action needed for the zoning commission on that. The type 2 variance, which is for final adoption, an official zoning map amendment, and a Class A conditional use. We can turn it over to the applicant for a presentation, or after disclosures.
Do we have any disclosures?
Yes, I spoke with Ms. Joni Brinkman from Urban Design yesterday.
Yes, I spoke with Kim Toomer and Joni Brickman, Urban Design Studio.
Any others?
I spoke to Joni Brinkman.
I spoke to the applicant.
I spoke with Ken Tuma.
None.
None.
All right.
Thank you. For the record, Joni Brinkman with Irma Design Studio on behalf of the applicant. This is another project, an exciting project in Westgate CRA. So I appreciate Bradley giving that little educational information prior to my presentation. This is Westgate Village MUPD. Let's see. How do I do this? Middle one? Okay, sorry. So as Wendy mentioned, we have a few requests before you today. This is a request for 42 acres, a little over 42, to be rezoned from CG in part and RH in part, commercial general and residential high, to MUPD. We're requesting as well, as the previous project, a Class A conditional use approval to utilize 325 density bonus units from the CRA pool. We are also abandoning a special exception from 1983, I believe, for a flea market that hasn't been utilized in many, many years on the Palm Beach Kennel Club site. We are requesting two Type 2 variances to increase the plaza depth in front of the center building along Congress Avenue, which results in the build-to line being increased, as well as the other two buildings on Congress also requesting an increase to the build-to line. We do have staff support for that. We have some unusual circumstances associated with this project that support that. And we are asking, which is not in your purview, but just for information, DRO approval to waive the cross connectivity that's typically required to the parcel to the north, and I'll explain that as we move forward. Little bit of history. This is the Palm Beach Kennel Club property, which was initially opened in 1932. In 83, they had the special exception for that flea market use on the property. There was a variance granted in 2004 to allow those satellite dishes that are still out on site there at the club. In 2020, they added a kennel club, Type 2 kennel and dog daycare use, Camp Rusty, which is very popular. And in 24, this property was originally included the additional 5 acres to the north. It was 47 acres in size. They had a plat waiver approved so that those north 5 acres are the future site of the redeveloped Kennel Club facilities. And the 42 acres we're talking about today was the remainder parcel. And again, in 24, the approval is granted by this board and the BCC to allow for a replacement gaming facility on the north 5 acres. Again, this is the current site in gray with the 5 acres that are not associated with the request to the north, which is the replacement Kennel Club facilities. Our residential component is 16.5 acres and is at the north end of this property, leaving 26.1 acres associated with the existing Kennel Club, which will continue to operate until such time as they relocate. In regards to land use and zoning, the zoning, again, part of it is RH at the north end, which is a residential zoning district, with the balance to the south being CG. And the FLU currently is CH over 5 dwelling units per acre. No changes to the FLU are proposed with this request. We are simply requesting that the entire property be rezoned to MUPD to allow for the mixed use as shown on the site plan of 405 residential units and the existing Kennel Club remaining. This outline shows you the 16 acres that is the subject of the residential redevelopment component of the project. And then to the right of your screen is the 5 acres that are no longer associated with this property. And based on discussion and direction by staff, the approach is that the existing Kennel Club facilities will basically remain as is. The contract purchaser is purchasing the property in phases, and that will allow the first phase to transfer, the project development to start, but also allow the Kennel Club time to get their permits, get their final site plan, and reconstruct on the north site without impacting their operations. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this site. Here's some pictures of the parking area right now, the existing Kennel Club, and then the phase one, the residential component, at the north end. In regards to the site plan, we are proposing a multifamily product, 3 stories in height, with the balance of the project at the west side with sufficient buffers, and the 3 buildings fronting Congress Avenue, which I'll get to in regards to the variances required. Access to the site for the Kennel Club access points, they will remain unchanged at this point. The red arrow in and out shows the main entrance point to our residential component. There are 3 pedestrian access points, as well as a sidewalk along the main entry drive. And the arrow to the right of your screen is for emergency access only for fire, should they not be able to access the main access point. This gives you an idea of the site plan. They had some very well-known architects provide input, and the whole design of this project is to provide green open space in between the buildings to create a garden-style effect. Building 1 and 3 are as close as we could get it to the Congress Avenue frontage, and then Building 2 has a pergola out front, which is open space, which I'll get into as well. We do meet parking on this project, and there is a storage building up in the upper right-hand corner and a lift station over to the upper left-hand corner. You'll also see the walking trail that will benefit the residents as well around the outside. In regards to buffers, we have an internal buffer. We're not really required one right now because we're an MEPD between us and the existing Kennel Club. We are providing landscape in that area for the residents' benefit. On the north property line, we're providing a 21-foot type 3 incompatibility buffer, which requires a wall, a 6-foot wall, and 10-foot clear on each side for planning. On the east side, we're providing a 16-foot type 2 incompatibility buffer, also with a wall. That's due to the future location of the gaming facility to the north of this property. And we are providing the 20-foot buffer with a 10-foot UE. We're utilizing the 5-foot overlap along Congress Avenue, and that is one of the reasons we had to request the variance for the setback. Site density, you'll see here a breakdown of the buildings we're proposing. We have 2 buildings that do contain 90 units. We have 2 buildings containing 30, and then the remaining buildings containing different amounts of unit based on the footprints and units provided in the building. The density on the 16 acres would equate per the underlying 5 per acre would get us 80 units. So what we're asking for in the conditional use class A is to utilize 325 units from the density bonus pool, which we have support from the CRA. And that is so that we are not pulling any density off of the remaining Kennel Club as we move forward. Eventually, the plan is to purchase that property, and we would be utilizing that underlying land use density when we come back to you again for a development order amendment. But right now, we're only using the density underneath the 16 acres. One point in regards to using the bonus density is there is a requirement that 20% of the units be in workforce housing, and that those be split between the 2 lower categories. So that will provide 40 in the lower category and 41 in the moderate category, which are 60 to 80 and 80 to 100% of AMI. When we were speaking with staff on this, it was felt strongly by all parties that when we do present to the board and to the commission, that you understood what the vision is eventually for the property. Again, that is not before you today, but would be before you again if that comes to fruition. So what is shown here is an informational master plan only. It will not be a regulatory document, but just for transparency, it shows Pod 1, which is our 16 acres we're talking about today, 3 stories with the 405 units. Pod 2, envisioned, we'd have to work out the density and everything later on, 340 units, again a 3-story product. And then as you transition down to the intersection of Belvedere and Congress, that's where the more intense product would be, which would be up to a 6-story product with 400 units and then 120,000 square feet of commercial. Again, that would have to come back before you and the board before any of that could take place. As I mentioned, we are in compliance with the required parking for the residential component. We provide 615 spaces where 602 are required. And in the non-residential, we are still providing sufficient parking for the kennel club uses, still including the arena, which really isn't there anymore. As we're all aware, the constitutional amendment prohibits dog racing, so it's just sitting there empty right now. The variances that we're requesting 2 variances, one which has 3 components. The first one is the depth of the plaza out in front of Building 2. The code allows a 25-foot plaza. Since we're incorporating that into our 5% of usable public space area required, we wanted to provide a more impact for the public in that area. That resulted in Building 2 to have a request for a setback of 103 feet rather than 25, and Buildings 1 and 3 are requesting 36 feet. Again, we have staff support on these. The plaza depth here, this shows you the increase to 74 feet, which then in turn increases the Build 2 line for Building 2. That we do have a little bit of a unique situation on this property too, which is one of the standards for the variance. This is not a parallel line, property line. It's skewed as you go south and kind of goes in when you go north. In addition to that, we had to provide a 10-foot utility easement and a 20-foot landscape buffer. And then when you see on the west side, the south left-hand side, the deeper purple color, there's an existing utility infrastructure in that area, county utilities, that even bumps in farther into the site that impacted Building 3. So what we've done here is make Building 3 and Building 1 consistent with our request for a 36-foot Build 2 line, so that when you're going down the road, they appear to be in line with each other and not off kilter. And the Building 2 allows for that open space to be utilized. This just shows you the setback. We're calling them setbacks because that's where they're set back from, but it's really relief to the Build 2 line. We do have CRA's support as well. I'm sure they're here to speak to this project as well. There is a lot of stuff going on in Westgate right now. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. There are some that we're still coordinating with them on, and we would appreciate some time to speak to our civil engineer about the condition that was just added last night. But we're confident we'll have everything worked out before BCC. I did want to show you the green space that's envisioned in between the buildings that was specific in purpose and design for the interior area for the residents. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions or if there's any cards, I'd like to be able to respond to them, but available for questions after staff presentation.
Let's go to staff.
Yep. We're just adding on to our staff report. So our analysis is included in the staff report for our project or our recommendation, which is for approval for all of the requests. Yes, they are proposing the 405 multifamily dwelling unit, and because of their unique circumstances, do meet what we find meet the standards for a Type 2 variance. So with that, I think Lisa had some additional comments.
Yeah, something that might stick out is in the other application, we recommended denial of the variance for parking. And in this one, we support the variance. The variance for the other one is parking with a project that's looking for density bonus. And the bonus that they're seeking is exceeding the capacity of the parking that is allowed. Whereas this one, they're asking for variances from Build 2 lines and aesthetic design that is unique to Westgate
and also unique circumstances with that parallel roadway. So I just wanted to point that out. We are being consistent, even though it might look like it's strange that we recommended denial of the other one and approval of this one. The Westgate overlay has about 20 pages of design and setback and urban form and all this levels of specifics that is a challenge to apply on a case-by-case basis, and we are going to encounter if I had my preference, I would change these to waivers instead of variances because that would allows more flexibility. But in this instance, it does meet and are finding that it meets the variance requirements from what is proposed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We do have 2 cards.
So I'll call Elizee Mikel again.
Again, my name is Elizee Michel, the Executive Director of the Westgate CRA. We are in support of this project. We've included a letter in the staff report supporting it, and our board is very excited to see something happen on that big site. We do thank staff for supporting the variance request, and we hope that the Commission also will recommend this project to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Denise Pennell.
Good morning again. Denise Pennell, Director of Planning and Development for the Westgate CRA. The CRA is in full support of the phased redevelopment of the Palm Beach Kennel Club site and the allocation of density bonus units to this project. The Kennel Club is a county landmark, but the vast majority of this big site has sat vacant and underutilized for decades, and its redevelopment has long been envisioned in the CRA's redevelopment plan. The project brings 405 housing units in its first phase. That includes set-asides for low and mod 1 households, directly addressing the county's housing shortage in a central urban infill area. The project design minimizes the visual impact of parking fields by placing the buildings along Congress Avenue, along the frontage, and the plaza amenity adds that aesthetic appeal. Westgate Village is a major catalyst for the redevelopment and economic growth of the CRA district, and we hope that you support the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Any questions or comments from commissioners? See none. We're ready for a motion.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution approving item 7B.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None.
And I'll recommend approval of item 7C.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, that motion passes.
And recommend approval of item 7D.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We're ready to move on to item 8.
Item number 8, TOA CA 2024-499, Boca Raton Commerce Center. We have 2 requests before the board, a development order amendment to the MUPD and a Class A conditional use for a density bonus through both the workforce housing and transfer development right programs. We will turn it, after disclosures, we can turn it over to the applicant and then staff.
Any disclosures? See,
None.
I spoke with Josh Nichols.
Okay, we're ready then.
All right. Cameron Ennis for the record with Schmidt Nichols on behalf of the applicant. So we're here today to look at Boca Raton Commerce Center 3. So I'll just jump right into it here. So this site is located just south of Glades Road and just west of the Turnpike. Our access is on Boca Rio Road via a access easement. The site's 4.79 acres, and there's an existing office on the site that is almost 15,000 square feet. So here, just looking at this site, there's our site access at the top of the screen there via 210th Street South, which is an access easement. Surrounding us on 2 sides, so on the east and the south, are industrial designated properties. So we have public storage to the east, the USPS regional office there to the south. There's also L&W Supply there at the corner. They're a construction supply company. And there's also Supermix Concrete. And then to the west, you'll see Meisner Point. It's an existing residential development. So we're kind of a transition between those, more intense industrial uses along Boca Rio Road to the residences to the west. So the future land use map, we have a companion small-scale future land use map amendment to amend the underlying industrial designation of this site to 12 units an acre. Again, I want to point out that we have industrial to the east of us that you can see there, and then also Meisner Point to the west, which is high-density residential, 8 units per acre. So again, trying to provide that transition between those more intense uses down to the 8 units per acre to the west of us. The CLO, the commercial low office designation, is remaining on the site. Again, there's an existing office there that they intend to keep and continue using. The zoning, we're not proposing any changes to that. It's multiple use plan development, and that's going to remain in place. So requests today, we have 2 requests, development order amendment and a Class A conditional use, and that is to add an 89 unit multifamily development to the vacant portion of this site. It includes bonus density. Portion of those units are workforce housing units, so we're required to provide 25% of those units, which equates to 22 total units as workforce housing. In this part of the county, we're pretty far west, so this is more high rent portion of the county. There's not as many multifamily opportunities out there. So really what they're trying to do is target that market of service industry people, teachers, fire, police officers who may want to live in the community that they serve. So here's a little review of the approval history. So this is the existing site plan that's in the record for this site. So you can see the existing office there in the north. There was a phase 2, which is the portion of the site that we're looking at today. It's currently vacant. So back in 2010 is when the MEPD was established and the office was approved. There were 2 previous future land use requests and development order amendment requests, one for a congregate living facility and one for another multifamily development. Both of those were withdrawn by the applicant, and then this site was sold to the current owners in 2023. So this application started in February of 2024. From there, we started off with 110 units and 5- and 6-story building. From there, we worked through some initial comments with staff through most of that year. When we finally got to something, relatively solid, we went to the Meisner Point HOA for the first time in November. We heard some concerns about the building height and some of the traffic impacts. So we went back to the drawing board. We reduced our proposal from 110 units down to 106 units. And the building at the western portion of the building that's closest to their residences, we reduced the height down to 4 stories. Our parking waiver also got reduced from 14% to 12%, and that's an administrative parking waiver that we are allowed to request. So we went back to them and presented that. Again, we heard some more concerns about the height and compatibility issues and also traffic. So once again, we went back to the drawing board. We reduced it again down to the current 89 units, and we reduced the height for the entire western wings to 4 stories, and then the central portion of the building that's further from their residences to 5 stories. So we'll get into the details of that here. So this is our initial proposal. You can see the building is 100 feet from the property line on the west, which borders Meisner Point. This had 110 units. You can see the 5-story section of the building, those 2 wings in blue, and then there's 6-story section in orange there. Again, we designed this building so that less of the mass of the building is closer to the residences. We put more of the mass of the building towards the self-storage to the east to reduce our impact. So here's what that looked like from a section view. So we had 63 feet with that 5-story section to the west and 71 feet in the taller portion to the east. So we went to the neighbors and we heard some concerns, and we went back to the drawing board like I mentioned. We dropped a section of those 2 wings down to 4 stories and brought the unit count down to 106 units. So that's what this looked like. So you can see that 4-story section there on the west, which is closest to Meisner Point. So again, we heard some more concerns from neighbors, and we went back and made another design change. So that brought us to the 89 units. So that's a 20% reduction from our initial proposal, and the building was reduced to 4 and 5 stories. There's no longer a 6-story section, and our parking waiver was also reduced significantly down to a 7% waiver for the residential portion. And so that's what this looks like here. I want to point out again that 100-foot setback, that is double what the code requires of us for this height building. Again, we wanted to push the building as far away from the neighboring residential to the west and create the least impact as possible. So again, you can see the entire wings are now 4 stories, and that central orange section there is now down to 5 stories. So in this image, you can see the ghosted image there is our initial proposal with 5 and 6 stories, and the image in front is our current proposal with 4 and 5 stories. Also want to point out here, so one of the concerns was nobody wanted residents of this building looking into Meisner Point. So one of the things we changed on this go-around is we changed these windows, so those are a bedroom and bathroom windows. Those are now clear story windows. So those are not visible to anybody of average height. I believe they start at 6 feet and above. So that was one of the changes we made to avoid any issues with view shed into the neighbors. Here's another view of the building, and again, those clear story windows are shown here. So I just want to show the overall site plan here. Again, our site access there at the top right to 210th Street. We've got the existing office to the north and the proposed residential building to the south there. Also want to show we're going to have a significant landscape buffer along the west. There's an existing buffer that's already in place along where the office is, so that portion of the site that's already built. We are going to be continuing a buffer. It will be an 8-foot compatibility buffer along the south between the multifamily and the townhouses there to the west. We're also proposing a fence along the property line for security purposes. And just to the east of that buffer, you'll see a slight gap in the planting there. That is a drainage easement that we need to accomplish our stormwater drainage. So with the 8-foot buffer plus the 20-foot easement, you've got 28 feet there of green space, plus Meisner Point has their existing 15-foot incompatibility buffer on their side. So there's a significant amount of planting out there between the two uses. And this is just to show the green spaces that we're providing on the site. We have our recreation area in the center of that multifamily building. There's a pool amenity there along with some trees and planting. We have just north of that the open space between the two uses to try and promote some mixing of the two uses and providing more open space. And then finally to the north there, that is in a drainage easement area. There's a number of easements for lakeworth drainage and a few other things. So that area can't be counted as open space or anything towards the code requirements. However, it is used and it can be used for purposes that would usable open space would be used for. And it just provides additional green space to this site. So you're going to hear some concerns about traffic today. As you can imagine, traffic's always an issue with these projects. I just want to point out that this site, with its current commercial low office future land use designation, is already allocated almost 4,000 trips per day. And that would be in a scenario where the site would be redeveloped with 100,000 square feet of medical office, which is allowed an allowed intensity under the CLO designation. So that already exists today. What we're proposing here is 566 trips per day. So that's a 600% reduction of what is already allocated to this site in terms of traffic. Also worth pointing out, our original proposal would have had almost 500 trips per day just for the residential portion. When we came down to 89 units, that was reduced by almost 100 trips to 404 trips for just the residential portion. We're also working with staff on a condition to condition this site to the intensity that we're proposing here today, so that these trips that we're proposing, 566 trips, are locked in, and any change to that would have to come through the process again to get changed. So we meet all the review standards for the conditional use and development order amendment requests. And with that, I'll close my presentation. We are asking for your recommendation of approval. We did go through Planning Commission for the accompanying small-scale amendment. We received their recommendation of approval, and staff is recommending approval, and we're in agreement with all the conditions of approval in their staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff?
Yes, so again, our staff report kind of stands on its own with all of our competent substantial evidence. So there are two requests, one for the amendment to the overall MUPD and the Class A for the additional density. This site has been before the board several times with different scenarios and non-residential uses. And so we are in support of the incorporation of this multifamily use that does transition from the townhouse fee simple to the industrial type uses. So we do have conditions of approval that are incorporated in there as well. We are working with the applicant on getting a sidewalk from this community out to Boca Rio because there will be bus stops for the children. So we are working on that with the applicant as well. But beyond that, I think that's all that we have, and we are recommending approval.
Okay, thank you. We do have public requests for comments.
Yep, we have two. So first, I'd like to call Toon Tuttlbaum. Please just state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joan Teitelbaum, and I reside at 21168 Via Eden, and I am the president of Meisner Point HOA. We're here as concerned residents of Meisner Point, a long-lasting, standing family residential community located adjacent to the proposed Boca Raton Commerce Center. While I understand the importance of development and growth within the city, I must express strong opposition to this project in its current form due to critical infrastructure and public safety concerns. Our community have sent enormous amount of emails to Travis Goodson expressing their concern. Mostly, flooding is one of our biggest concerns. We have an issue on the back of Via Eden every time that it rains. Now, having a building adjacent to that and having all that water, where is it going to go? I would like to invite all the commissioners here to drive on Boca Rio Road during rush hours. Boca Rio Road is a 2-lane road, 1 lane going each way, with metal barriers to prevent cars from going into the canals. There is no room for emergency vehicles during rush hours. The cars can't go into the canal. Our police department is already operating under strained resource, with extended response time becoming increasingly common. The influx of new residents will further burden these services without assurance of increased staffing or funding. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, Mariella Ferrari.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm a neighbor of John Teitelbaum. My name is Mariela Ferrari, and I live at 8308 Via Serena, very close from where the new development is going to be developed. I came here in front of you today with huge concerns about safety hazards and safety liabilities. This new development is probably going to bring density of population. The access to the new development It's a very narrow street, a two-lane street, and the name of the street is 210th South, and that comes from Boca Rio, which is already heavily, it's a heavy access with heavy traffic currently, especially on rush hours. I'm really concerned about safety here. First responders and police, ambulances, anybody who gets to have to rush for an emergency into our community in Meisner Point may get stuck by heavy traffic. I have a child. I take him to the zone school, public school in Boca Raton. I know how traffic looks early in the morning, and I also work, so I know how traffic looks towards the end in the evenings. I just physically cannot picture if I need to call a first responder for an elder resident at Meisner Point, or a child, or a fire, or a flood. How would these people make it to our community? Boca Rio is the only access to our community. We have a lot of commercial buildings there. We are right behind the post office, so that brings a lot of public traffic into Ancho Road. We are behind a cement company that is close to public storage, another commercial building, which is in between the access. That is going to be 210 Street, which is the access to this new development. Cement trucks park in the middle of these two lanes on Boca Rio every morning. They line up in order to get materials from that company. That alone has a lot of traffic and a lot of creates a lot of noise in between the only two lanes that we have. You can't see it in this map here because it's very, well, sort of, very precarious, but I invite you, like John said, to just please drive Boca Rio, keep an eye on these tracks and also the supply store in the corner from Ancho Road and Boca Rio, and see what happens there in the morning. If a first responder was stuck in traffic on rush hour going south to north from Palmetto to Glaze Road, I want to try to understand how do we do for them to find room? How do we move cars
Time is up.
into
Thank you.
the side track? Please consider a petition to oppose. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any comments or questions, commissioners? No.
Yeah, if the applicant has any rebuttal or response, now would be the appropriate time.
Thank you. I'd like to respond to two things. So one of the concerns that was brought up was flooding. So we're actually improving the drainage situation over there. With development of this portion of the site, we have to keep all of our stormwater drainage on our site. So like I mentioned in that site plan that I was showing you, we're going to be providing a 20-foot drainage easement, which will hold that water on our site. So that would be an improvement to the flooding situation. Another issue I heard about fire response times and police response times. The fire department reviewed this as part of the future land use map amendment. They had no concerns with the development, so that's already been reviewed, and they're recommending approval of it. And then finally, so access, with the access on 210th Street South, I know it's an access easement, and that was mentioned. I just want to remind you all, this is already approved as a commercial low office and industrial development. So those 4,000 trips that I had mentioned before that are already allocated to the site, they've already been considered as going through that access easement. So we are providing a significant reduction to the amount of traffic that would be going through that easement and out to Boca Rio Road. And also to that point, I know traffic is a concern on Boca Rio Road. From what I understand, speaking with your traffic engineers, there's already a plan in place to expand Boca Rio Road. That's supposedly coming in 2027. So I think they're going to be doing 4 lanes in each direction, or 2 lanes in each direction, rather. So that's coming down the pike. And in addition to that, again, our traffic that we're proposing here, that's a significant reduction. We have less than 20 peak hour trips that are associated with the multifamily development. So that is a much reduced impact during rush hour traffic than what is already designated for this site. So Thank you.
Thank you.
And for staff comments, just a clarification, fire rescue doesn't provide a recommendation of approval or denial for a comprehensive plan amendment. They provide an analysis of level of service impacts. Their fire rescue is a reviewer in the zoning application, which is before you today, and they had no objections to the circulation and access for fire rescue.
All right. Any questions or comments, commissioners?
I have a question. If staff is anyone that can speak for traffic on the road expansion?
We have traffic here.
Hi, good morning.
Can you say your name?
I'm Moshir Rahman, Traffic Division. And, sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
So, right now, the road is failing in background condition, but county have a project in 2027, which they're going to widening the road to 4 lane with a central lane, so that can use as a left-hand lane on both way. So, and this project, I think that will be start on 2028. So, before that, county will start the project to widening the railroad, and after that, it will be within the allowable limit, like to accommodate the level of service D.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes, Lou.
I am concerned about the capacity of the easement. I understand Boca Rio Road, yeah, that's a few years away, but I don't believe a traffic light will ever be warranted at this easement.
So this is very close to an intersection of Glass Road and Glass Road, so I don't think it will be warranted, but I don't have any document right now. And with that traffic, I don't think so it will be warranted.
Yeah. I don't see where the transition is appropriate, the transition between the industrial and medical office and the residential. There is a medical building there, and it would seem to me to be more appropriate to have some commercial low office there rather than the residential. I travel Boca Rio Road often, so that it's like this is a YIMBY, yes in medical center's backyard. We already have Uptown Boca. We have 456 units there, and that's very close. So it's moving along, but this particular in the middle of this and adjacent to that Meisner Point, it doesn't seem to me to be a real appropriate area for this. And just one other thing, on page 13, Exhibit C1, Conditions of Approval, if you look at it under engineering, it says no building permits for the site may be issued after December 31st, 2018. I don't think that's feasible.
That condition of approval is called the build-out permit.
Yeah.
Is there proposed revisions to that?
Yeah. Why is it 2018?
Because that's when, so it doesn't say build-out date in the conditions of approval that engineering does. We have worked with them and we're trying to develop new language. It's the date for the prior approval. Are we proposing revisions to that?
This is an existing condition that's being carried forward, right?
Right, that's. Oh, are you looking at the conditions of approval for, I don't know, maybe the applicant can address that, because typically we revise build-out dates.
I think that condition that you're referencing shows is completed. It was a continuance from a previous resolution, from what our understanding was.
Yeah, because it says we would, under this, it says we would be, staff recommends approval of the request, subject to conditions of approval as indicated in Exhibit C1 and C2. And C1 does say that no building permits will be issued after 2018. I'm just wondering why that's there. It's just a little confusing to people when they read it. That's all.
If I may, there is an updated build-out date in condition number 5. I'll let staff confirm that, but I believe that would be the operable.
I will say that, yes, we will be fixing that between now and BCC. It should have been an amended condition.
Okay.
Number 5 covers that.
Thank you.
I'd like a moment just to respond. I just
Okay,
want to
go
clarify
ahead.
that existing office is not medical office. That is a just professional office there. So just wanted to point that out.
A professional office. Thank you.
All right, I think we're ready for a motion.
I make a motion to recommend approval of item 8A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next item.
To recommend approval of item 8B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. Motion passes. Thank you. We're ready for
Who was
item.
the opponent on number 9?
I am.
On 8, on item
On 8, item 8, A and B.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just one opposed. Item 9.
Item 9 is a county-initiated rezoning. We haven't done one in a while. The county routinely changes the future land use designation to properties to conservation, but we haven't done a rezoning in quite a while, so there's a lot of acreage. And we do have Alex, and we also have Tim from here, and I'll turn it over to Alex.
Good morning, Alex at the Zoning Division. The proposed zoning application before you, as Lisa said, is an official zoning map amendment request initiated by the county of 1,576 county-owned parcels encompassing 13,264.52 acres. These parcels are mostly located in the agricultural residential zoning district, but also light industrial, general commercial, multifamily residential high density, single-family residential, and public ownership zoning districts. These parcels have been acquired by the county within the last 30-plus years for designation as environmentally sensitive lands. Parallel to that time frame, future land use atlas amendments to the conservation future land use designation have been initiated by the county and approved. This official zoning map amendment request will rezone those parcels to the consistent preservation conservation zoning district. The parcels will continue to be maintained as environmentally sensitive lands. Subject parcels are clustered in multiple areas of unincorporated Palm Beach County, and those areas have been divided into areas A through M. So, next slide. They changed it. So area M is this Cypress Creek Natural Area that's located on both sides of West Indian Town Road within the vicinity of the Jupiter Farms area. Area B is the High Ridge Scrub Natural Area located between High Ridge Road and the Seaboard Airline Railroad and Interstate 95 south of Hypoluxo Road. Area C is the Hungryland Slough Natural Area, located on the southwest side of the Beeline Highway, opposite of Palm Beach Park of Commerce in the Calusa Rural Subdivision. Area D is the Jackson Riverfront Pines Natural Area, located on both sides of Riverside Drive to the south of the county line. Area E is the Juneau Dunes Natural Area, located on the east side of Wilson Road between Burt Winters Park and the contiguous natural areas within the town of Juneau Beach. Area F is the Limestone Creek Natural Area located on the north bank of the Loxahatchee River between Island Way and Central Boulevard. Area G is the Loxahatchee Slough Natural Area, located within the canal rights-of-way between the Calusa Rural Subdivision and spanning between the Beeline Highway and natural areas within the city of Palm Beach Gardens. Area H is the Palm Beach Heights, also known as Palmar Eco Site, located between the county line, Beeline Highway, and terminus of West Indian Town Road. Area I is the Paw National Area, located on the east side of Ellison-Wilson Road in the Juneau Ridge area, north of the city of Palm Beach Gardens. Area J is the Pine Glades Natural Area, located between West Indian Town Road, the Beeline Highway, and Jupiter Farms area in Palm Beach Park of Commerce. Area K is the Palm Cypress Natural Area, located between the State Road 7 extension and contiguous natural areas within the city of West Palm Beach, north of Okeechobee Boulevard. Area L is the Royal Palm Beach Pines Natural Area located south of 40th Street and the Royal Palm Beach acreage area between the town of Loxahatchee Groves and contiguous natural areas within the village of Royal Palm Beach. And lastly, Area M is the Sandhill Crane Wetlands Natural Area located between the town of Jupiter and the Palm Beach Country Estates area. At the time of publication, there's been no contact from the public regarding this application. Staff has determined all standards have been met, therefore staff recommends approval of the requests to rezone from multiple zoning districts to the PC zoning district on 13,264.52 acres. That concludes my presentation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions this commission may have. Thank you.
Staff, anything to add?
Nope.
Okay.
Alex is staff.
Any questions from commissioners?
I have a question. I'm just curious, for how long will this rezoning? Is it in perpetuity? I didn't know if there was a time certain where, because we saw that in the Ag Reserve where it was set for a time and then it extinguished. So.
A rezoning is a rezoning. The only way, this is different than a preserve area in the Ag Reserve where they do swaps all the time. They move things around on privately owned land. These are county-owned lands, and the only way to change the zoning is to go through this same exercise with a rezoning application and before the ZC and BCC.
Okay, thank you.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for doing this housekeeping. Those of us who fought to get those lands purchased appreciate that. And when the time comes, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of item 9A.
Second.
Okay, we're ready for that motion
so.
then.
She
Okay, we
made
have
it,
a
I
motion
second.
and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The motion passes. That concludes the regular agenda. Comments from county attorney,
No comments.
planning director,
No comments from planning, thank you.
zoning director.
Yes, so you've recently probably received an email from us for our new calendar for the 2026 zoning commission hearings as well as the BCC hearings. So please mark those on your calendar. And then just as a reminder, for next month, due to a holiday, we will not have zoning commission on our typical Thursday. It will actually be on Friday, October 3rd. So.
Okay. Executive director. Any commissioners, any comments? Okay, we're
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.